Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's Niall, and I'm delighted, as always, to be joined by Elliot Grigg, and we're here in final prediction mode for this weekend's crucial super featherweight clash between Jordan Gill and Zelfa Barrett at the Manchester Arena. And Jordan Gill, of course, coming off a career best win, stopping Michael Conlan back in December, where he broke Irish hearts, unfortunately, but it was a big win for him. And Barrett, of course, looking to get back into world title contention himself. So, Elliot, let's jump into it. First of all, I hope you're well. And secondly, yeah, let's just get straight into the predictions on this one. Where do you see this being won and lost? We were kind of speaking briefly off camera. It is a very tough one to call. I think we're both in agreement there. Yeah, just give us your thoughts on where you think this one's going to be won and lost, and who comes out on top here.
Really well. First off, no, thank you very much for that eloquent introduction. I think, like you said, and like we spoke off camera, it is actually a tough one to call. And I did the preview show with Paul on this, and we were also, I think, divided on how we see this one playing out. And it is a tough one to call. And I think it's actually been made tough by Jordan Gill in many ways. Like you look at the resurgence of Jordan Gill recently, that victory over Conlan, I think, surprised a lot of people, myself included. Like you said, it broke Irish hearts, but it surprised a lot of minds as well. Mine was one of the minds that it did surprise. So looking before that performance against Conlan, even though he had the win over Martinez, this was, the sort of age and miles on the clock that Martinez had at that point, and even, Gerfi, like you look at those sort of names, you think, okay, I still would have backed Conlan heavily in that fight, and I obviously backed Barrett even against Gill at that time as well. That's narrowed things, but I think, when you look at Barrett with his loss against Rakimov, but he's still got, good victories on his record again, Korbanov being a good one, obviously that victory over Martinez himself. So there's mutual opponents here. Kind of similar CVs in some way. That's a marquee victory over Conlan. So it's hard, it's really making it really complex. But I think for me, it's between Gill on point. If Gill wins, it's on points for me. It doesn't stop Barrett, I don't think, at any point. So there's that angle. But for me, there's also the possibility of Barrett winning on points himself, or even potentially maybe a late stoppage. I could not rule that out either. So I'm actually going to go with, we've seen Gill stop before, and so I think we're going to. I'm going to stick with my prediction from the preview show, which was Zelfa Barrett. But I actually got a feeling that Barrett's going to win this on points. That's how I'm looking at it. I think it's going to be a compelling fight, to be honest with you, an intriguing fight. I don't know whether I'm kind of got that lag between kind of like giving Gill maybe the respect he deserves. I'm still kind of thinking the pre-Conlan Gill or some of those other fights where I think, he struggled a bit more. But I'm going to go with Barrett to grind out a points victory. What about yourself? Do you think the Conlan loss will be avenged by Zelfa Barrett here over Jordan Gill, or do you think that the train will keep rolling?
It's actually very interesting what you said there, because I was in the exact same mindset in terms of finding it hard to kind of judge Jordan Gill. I don't mean to sound too harsh, but I never really particularly rated Jordan Gill that highly, with no disrespect. And like you, I think like a lot of people, I expected Michael Conlan to kind of deal with him comfortably. But credit to Gill, it was a big win. It really was. It was, he shocked a lot of people. But again, is that the fact of Michael Conlan has just declined so much, or Jordan Gill actually put in a masterful performance? He looked very well against Conlan. He was disciplined. He stuck to his game plan, executed it perfectly. But he's still, I still don't know where to kind of rate him, to be honest with you. Yeah, so, and also maybe, as he mentioned in Belfast, in the post-fight interview, he had his own personal demons, which probably played a big part in some of his previous performances. Which, yeah, it's good to see he's in a better mindset now. It's great to see. But yeah, I think this is a really hard one to call. Like, one other thing I was thinking is that they've both lost to worse fighters than each other. Jordan Gill lost to Tanaka, who's Barrett is better than. Barrett lost to Ronnie Clark, who Gill is definitely better than. But I just think it comes down to Jordan Gill or Zelfa Barrett. I think does pretty much everything as good as, if not better than, Jordan Gill. I think he's as good of a boxer. He's a bigger puncher. I think, and I think he's also a natural kind of fully fledged super featherweight. He's a big super featherweight. Jordan Gill's coming up from feather. Questions are, is he really a natural super featherweight? So yeah, I just think Zelfa Barrett does pretty much everything better than Jordan Gill does. No disrespect to Jordan Gill, so I'm going Zelfa Barrett, and I think he stops Gill. To be honest with you, I think he stops him maybe mid to late. I think he might stop him. As you said, which is so true, Jordan Gill wins this on points if he's going to win, but it's also the fact that it's in Manchester, which will be tough for him to get a decision too. But I definitely can't see him stopping Zelfa Barrett, so I'm going Zelfa Barrett stoppage for me. So we both have Zelfa there, but that's our predictions anyway. That's our breakdown kind of and predictions for the big fight. So one question that I wanted to ask you before we kind of wrap up is this fight is a crucial fight, for the winner. We've got probably a world title fight on the horizon here for the winner. You'd imagine it has to be. There's no other real option. So looking at the current world champions at super featherweight, you've got Joe Cordina, Lamont Roach, you've got Oshaki Foster, and it looks like now Oscar Valdez, WBO. If it is a world title fight next for the winner, which we picked to be Zelfa Barrett in this case, do you reckon he beats any of those world champions? Could he become world champion?
Brutal question. Do I think he beats any of those? No, actually, it's a very harsh thing to say. I think I feel like no, I feel like Zelfa Barrett gets through this. I mean, look, we saw what happened with Rakimov, and that was a good performance, obviously a KO loss. But I look at you look at the record that he has, and nothing tells me that he's ready for the challenges that you mentioned there, like the likes of Valdez. Foster, I think would be too slick for him, frankly. I think he'd get 12 rounds of Foster. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he'd stop him. But I look at like Cordino, I think would possibly stop him. Valdez, I think would possibly stop him. And I look at Lamont Roach again. Is there a chance there? No, I'll probably favour Roach in that fight as well. So for me, the answer for both of these guys, if whoever wins, I don't see them winning a world title against those champions. It's sad for me to say that, but I also do feel that they would be worthy of a world title shot. If that makes sense as well. Like I wouldn't mind seeing. I mean, I'm not sure Joe Cordina would go with it. Would he? Would Cordina want to fight Zelfa Barrett? I think he's looking at obviously bigger super fights than that. But again, I'd be intrigued to see the fight by just thinking someone like from a British interest. But I still think Joe Cordina would frankly just walk all over him. To be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think they're quality world champions, so there's no shame in that. But I think they'd have a very tough against any of those champions. Maybe O'Shaki, Foster, or Roach are the most favourable, but yeah, I can't see them beating any of them if a world title fight is next, which, as you mentioned, they would be well worthy of. Of course, Barrett had his chance already against Rakimov, and he fought very well. He's probably ahead in that fight, and he was a couple of rounds away from being a world champion. But I think the current landscape, it's going to be very tough. But yeah, it likely is a world title fight next for the winner of this, or there's Lee Wood, another kind of maybe British super fight for the winner of this against Lee Wood now up at super featherweight. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. But yeah, that's all we have time for. So that's our final predictions for this Saturday night's huge super featherweight clash. Big domestic dust up between Jordan Gill and Zelfa Barrett at the Manchester Arena. Let us know what you think in the comments. Can Gill continue to ride the wave of momentum from the Conlan fight, or will Barrett kind of put him back in his place and springboard to his own world title opportunities again? As always, don't forget, drop us a like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube, and follow all social media channels. A lot of great content coming up. And yeah, Elliot, speak again and take care.
Thank you very much, Nolan. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching.